are out there doing the work. There's no fluff, no filter, and definitely no sales pitches disguised as education. If it's happening in clinical dentistry, from insights to regulatory curveballs, or maybe even the latest scandal at the ADA, we are probably already talking about it. And yes, we are bringing the goods. So whether you're a seasoned doc, part of a dental team, part of the industry, maybe you're a curious consumer, or maybe you're just here for the banter, we welcome you all to the show, because around here, we're not just in the loop, we are in the know. Hey there, Dinks. I'm Dr. Jeff Horowitz. I am with two amazing clinicians and friends, Dr. Chad Duplantis and Dr. Jennifer Bell. Look how they came up almost like this was synchronized. I'm loving this right now. We created this little platform to make the dental world just a little bit smaller, but a whole lot more fun. Today, we have an incredible guest, Dr. Zach Sisler, and he is here going to be talking about some things with the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry and just talking about all things practice. So we appreciate the AACD for being a partner of Dentists in the Know, and we're excited to have Zach on. And my friends, how are you tonight?
Well, Jeff, I know you probably weren't looking at the screen, but there's actually a countdown that goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Listen.
And by the time it got to 1, you were halfway through the intro.
So, it's okay. It's okay.
It's all good. What happened?
It's all
good. What happened? Let me just tell you what happened.
Okay.
All of a sudden, this thing popped up on my screen that said live. And that was it. That was all she wrote. It's showtime. It's go time. You don't stick a live sticker up there, bright red, in front of Jeff Horowitz and not expect him to go, baby.
Well, hey, here's the deal. We have already been pretty much banned from StreamYard.
Taking it off just so he doesn't get confused.
We've been pretty much banned from StreamYard, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I just don't want us to get banned from Riverside because I really like this platform.
Well, what did I do wrong here?
You didn't do anything wrong.
You didn't do anything wrong. It's
so
okay,
sorry,
Pumpkin.
Guys. I'm so sorry.
How's your week?
Moi?
Yeah, anybody.
Actually, pretty average. I guess average is good at this point in life. Yeah, no great stories, no
floods, no nothing.
No floods this week. Yeah.
All right.
No,
that's something to think about.
I'll take it. Chad, how about you?
You know, it's been a good week. You know, do you ever have those days? I say this a lot. Like today was a working day and today was a talking day.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first 3 days of this week have been a lot of talking days, and honestly, it's odd because I've kind of been in the mood to talk. So you know, it's been a really good talking week. A lot of consults, a lot of big stuff, you know, a couple of Invisalign cases, couple of cosmetic cases, just talking people through things. And, you know, it seems like the past 3 days I've made up these like crazy treatment plans just to get people through like interim phases. Like we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You know, it's been a good week. It's been a good week of just putting stuff together and hoping it works.
I want to make a comment about that. So one of the things, especially if you work in a 2-doctor or multi-doctor practice, one of the things that my business partner and I put into place really early was a low doc, high doc schedule. So days like what you talked about, or weeks like what you're talking about, Chad, first off, they are as hard or harder sometimes than doing the physical dentistry because it's a lot of thinking. It's also a ton of note taking and documentation. Like it can be very exhausting. And if you think about it, we're one of the only professions that requires our clinicians to do both of those things simultaneously. So the physical heavy lift and the diagnostic and mental heavy lift, all within an 8-hour time period. So when we did the high-low doc scenario, the original term was like high production, low production, but you probably could make the same argument. On those heavy diagnostic days, I can do Invisalign deliveries, implant scans, you know, I can do all kinds of like assistant driven production. And then on the high production days, those are really just high doctor time days where it's a heavy handpiece day. You're just picking it up and churning all day. That has been a godsend. So for anybody listening that has multiple people in their practice or are thinking about opening up and how they want to structure their schedule, both of those days can actually be incredibly productive. And you get to spend, to your point, Chad, you get to spend that time building those treatment plans, building the rapport. You probably closed a ton of dentistry because you had the time sort of allocated to be able to do that. But for me, mentally and physically, it was so nice to have those two very defined roles within the practice on that day. I was either a heavy diagnostician and a big communicator, or I just put my AirPods in and went and picked up a handpiece and slung enamel rods all day. So it was really helpful for me. And now I don't want to go back to that scenario where I would have to balance both simultaneously all day long.
It's really funny that, a couple of things that you said just kind of resonate, but it's really true. I call it the now or later principle. And it's like, you can talk now, you may not produce, but later you're going to produce.
Yeah.
And it's from the now talking,
Absolutely.
and it's a matter of just balancing your time. But the other thing that you said that just really just kind of made the lights go off, and I think that everybody would agree, would the most ideal day in the world be just full of implant scans?
Yes. But after a couple really challenging deliveries lately, I'm not sure I like implants anymore. I think I've written them off.
Oh my
That's what
gosh.
happens with the day of implant scans is a day of deliveries.
That's right.
It is, but I'll tell you what, it's now or later, baby, and I'll take now all day long.
Yeah.
I love scanning for implants. It's like one of my favorite things to do. If everything's firing on all cylinders. I actually had an implant today that was I've heard about it, haven't had it happen in my practice, cold welded to the
Oh, I hate
Oh,
yeah, it
those.
was cold welded to the abutment, the implant. But the thing is that I had to just leave it alone, and I'll have to deal with it in 3 months because, excuse me, she had implants on 3 and 4. 4 failed. Several years later, they extracted the 4 implant, grafted the 4 site. I was trying to remove 3, and I was going to do this tricked out, rather than a flipper, I was going to do like a single abutment cantilevered 4 site, just like, okay, we're going to do this. It's going to be really cool. And of course, the damn thing was freaking cold welded. And just with all of the stuff that had just happened in the 4 site, I wasn't messing with it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to crank this baby down to about 20 Newton centimeters. I'm not going 35. And I'm just going to leave it be because I know that area is still kind of undergoing it's about to start undergoing a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it was odd. So sorry.
I hate putting that force on it because you're like,
I know.
I don't want to own this.
I know. You ever had one where you're torquing and you get like right to 30 and you go to 35 and the damn thing twists?
Yes.
Oh,
and you're done.
And then you're done.
Then
you are so done.
Yeah.
So,
game over.
Yeah.
So it's like on Operation, the game Operation, when you nose lights up
when
and
the buzzer goes off. Yeah, you are
You're trying to get that pencil. You can't get the pencil. The pencil is impossible.
I know, and the funny bone.
Guys, can I do some news? How do you feel about that?
Absolutely.
I think
Remove us and you do the news.
News.
I've got a comment on one of your stories because I think I know what it's going to be. But
Okay.
I'll do it after.
And aren't we early because I did half of the introduction
Absolutely.
before the actual show started?
We're early.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's definitely true.
Okay.
Bye,
Cool.
guys. All right. Kind of a wild week. I'll end with the salacious news because I know everybody already knows that it's coming. So let's start with the boring stuff because I'm also always here for the boring things. It is important to know that Michigan has just issued their first license for a dental therapist. For those of you who aren't familiar with what a dental therapist is, it's a mid-level provider somewhere between a dental assistant and a dentist. What the specific regulations are in Michigan, I'm not 100% sure. doing reversible procedures, preventative services, diagnostic services is typical for a dental therapist. Up until recently, they've all had to be trained out of state, which is probably also why there are not that many, only one so far. But they are opening up a program at Ferris State University. So they are going to start training their own in-house dental therapists to be licensed in the state of Michigan. This is the ongoing continual discussion. We're seeing all kinds of solutions coming out of different states to try to deal with workforce challenges, finding dental assistants, dentists, and dental hygienists to be able to perform services. Some are doing these really expanded. I think Arizona just released this very expanded dental assistant who's moving into some of the hygiene roles. You're seeing mid-level providers, you're seeing expanded on the dental hygiene side too. So anyway, lots of activity continuing to happen to sort of address the compression in staffing shortages. So this is Michigan's now online with their first dental therapist. I love this next story, and I'm not going to be bashful about it. And I'm even going to mention the name. A class action lawsuit was filed at the end of the year, December 31st to be specific, by Kevin Walsh of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. Who did he file it against? Delta Dental. What is he upset about? Something I'm also very upset about. It's the lack of disclosure for out-of-network providers. So if you happen to be not in network with Delta Dental, but patients would like to continue to see you in your practice, you are unable to get a fee schedule from Delta Dental. This isn't unique to Delta Dental, and I won't pick on them specifically. This is actually an across-the-board problem with most of the dental insurance companies. If you're not in network, they will not disclose a fee schedule, but they will disclose a coverage rate. So let's do an example. I'm going in to get a dental exam. My dental insurance tells me it pays 100%. The person that I'm going to see who's not in network doesn't know the 100% fee schedule. So is it 100% of the doctor that I'm seeing's fee schedule, his normal or her normal schedule? Or is it another schedule that none of us are aware of? Why does this matter? Because despite popular opinion, dentists actually don't like to surprise bill their patients. They really like to be incredibly upfront. In fact, I will go as far to say we take that incredibly seriously, more than the medical profession. How do I know this? Because I've had enough medical procedures done to know no one ever sat me down, showed me a treatment plan, explained to me how much my out-of-pocket was going to be. I just started getting bills in the mail. So dentists don't do that. They're a cottage industry. They work in their communities. They want to be able to look you in the eye when they see you at the grocery store. So they want to be able to disclose. They don't want to send a surprise bill. If they can't get access to the information, we cannot wholeheartedly give you a treatment plan where we really understand what your coverage is going to be. So I'm all in, Kevin Walsh. If you need support or help, call me, because I am glad that someone is finally taking a stand to say, doctors are genuinely trying to do right by their patients. These malicious and discretionary tactics by all dental insurance companies to make that more difficult is only at the detriment of the doctor and the patient relationship. So if you care about services, if you care about patients, and you care about coverage, which is in most of the mottos and missions for all dental insurance companies, be open and transparent with your in-network and your out-of-network doctors who are just trying to take care of the people who call you their insurance company. Another really interesting article that came out that was a little contentious, a little clickbaity, if you want to know my opinion, was this new ADA article that came out about updated guidelines on radiation exposure. And in fact, a lot of the clickbait was for the title that said updated on an as-need basis. Now, that's really the medical model. I don't, except for a few cancer screens like your colonoscopy, your mammograms, and those types of things that somehow got through this magical lobbying ability. For the most part, medical providers do not take images of you, CBCTs, MRIs, et cetera, unless you have a chief complaint. Dentistry is a little different. We like to operate more on a preventative side based on risk factors to capture images on patients. Well, the ADA's clickbait headline, I don't think it's all ADA's fault, it was how it was reported, is that now they're updating it to an as-need basis, which would really start to move towards a medical model. Why do I care? Because really that starts to open up the idea that medical or dental insurance companies might stop covering radiography on the intervals that they're currently covering it. Now, we abide by the ALERA principle, which is to use radiation as low as possible to achieve the results and take it as infrequently as is necessary based on risk factors for the patient. And there are a lot of guidelines that were just sort of massaging the 2012 guidelines that came out over almost 2 decades ago now. No, 1 decade ago. Woo. That give us all of those recommendations. There's a few updates and a few nuances that you probably should log on and check out to make sure that you're currently practicing within the guidelines of the ADA. But other than that, there wasn't this big aha moment within these guidelines to say, oh, we should be doing things differently. Doesn't really matter though, because if it hits mainstream press or if the insurance companies decide to use this as an action item for their reduction of benefits, ultimately we're going to start to see that change. I love that Chad, I talked to Chad about this not that long ago. You know, a lot of insurance companies require imaging that I don't even need to take in order to do a procedure. I don't need an updated panoramic image on a patient that I want to do a partial on. That is not required for me to make a partial on a patient. If I have an image within a certain time period of a pano for pre-screen for pathology, I don't need a pan to make a determination on whether or not a partial is indicated. But the insurance company wants that image. So now, do I take an image just to help the patient get reimbursed, or do I cite this most updated article that states that I should only be taking images that would be absolutely necessary in order to do my job, not to ensure insurance claim coverage? And the last story of the night has made national news. The 2 dentists that were murdered in Ohio, now the ex-husband has been arrested for charges of double murder. He's a vascular surgeon, seemingly kind of normal guy. No major things have ticked off about this guy yet. We don't know. And of course, he is innocent until proven guilty, but quite interesting turn of events in this story that the ex-husband of the wife who was murdered, along with her husband, has now been taken into prison for suspected murder charges. And with that, that's the news. All right, guys, now I have to bring you back. And this is a lot for me to manage.
Oh, Chad's missing.
Oh,
There
he
I am.
disappeared.
What the hell happened? Hey, real quick, I just got to say 2 things.
Yeah.
If anybody wants the letter that I send to the insurance companies when they ask for x-rays that are outside of ALARA or ALATA, send me an email. I'm happy to send that to you. It's real easy. I send it to Jeff and JB.
Yep.
Hopefully it helps.
Dr. Duplantis at gmail.com.
Yeah, drduplantis@gmail.com. The second thing is I watch so much true crime. And what cracks me up is that all these people were pissed off that it took so long to find these guys. If you let the investigations take their time, they knew longer than we knew.
Oh, yeah, for
They
sure.
did not want to alert him. He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
And by the way, you said, he's a vascular surgeon. He's a creepy looking son of a bitch. I'm just going to say it right now. And you know what? I don't care what I say. He can come after me. He's a creepy looking son of a bitch. And
It's the best time to say it. He's in jail.
Yeah, he's in jail. And you know what? I don't know if he did it or he didn't do it, but his mugshot scares the shit out of me. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and say
apparently this guy, there were some red flags about him. He was, from everything that I've read, he was pretty abusive, which hence why
very long.
He is the ex-husband at this point. But furthermore, I would agree. I bet if you asked around the operating room that they're all calling him a son of a bitch.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's not lose sight. Certainly, prayers, thoughts,
100%.
everything goes out to the family that has lost 2 loved ones because they look like lovely people. It just sucks.
Well, and the kids.
Yeah, it just sucks. But I hope whoever did it rots in hell.
All
Whoever
right.
did it. There you go.
Ready?
All right. Hey, I'm going to
Let's
go
do
ahead and introduce our guest. I can't do 2 things at once.
I'm on
JB,
it.
You bring him up. Okay. So our guest tonight is Dr. Zachary Sisler. He's been waiting too long tonight, but there was good stuff that we had to talk about. I'm going to rearrange his bio just a little bit because when I talk about someone, I want to talk about the person and then what they do for a profession. But first of all, Dr. Sisler is a husband to a wonderful wife. He's a dad to 4 kids. He lives in central Pennsylvania. He graduated with his DDS from West Virginia University in 2010. Has multiple publications in the Journal of Cosmetic Dentistry, Inside Dentistry, Compendium, Dental Economics, and so on and so forth. He was an associate faculty member for the Dawson Academy from 2018 to 2021. He has lectured nationally on, I love this, and I know Jeff will too, functional aesthetic dentistry. In 2021, he founded Smile Design by Sisler Continuing Education, that focuses on next level cosmetic dentistry procedures for participants. And he maintains a practice in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, that focuses on cosmetic, implant, and restorative dentistry. So welcome, Dr. Sisler.
Thank you all.
Maybe he can solve your implant problem.
No, I don't want to take a stab at it. No.
Yeah. Damn it.
You own that problem, Chad Duplantis.
Yeah, I got a plan. It's just going to have to wait 3 to 4 months. Yeah.
Is that one where you ask him to go home, take the screw out, and chew on it? Just
no,
come see
actually,
me
I'm
every
just going
day.
to squirt a little WD-40 in there.
That's biocompatible.
You know, oddly, this came about several years ago, and there was a published article. This is no lie, that if you had a screw that was stuck, and this is a little bit unrelated to a cold welded implant, but I'm sure it worked the same. You know that tartar remover that you put your partials in when they go into the autoclave, and then you have to rinse them off thoroughly because it's probably caustic and toxic? They said to put a couple of drops of that on top of the screw and wait a few minutes.
And it worked?
Wait a few minutes, and the screw will back out on its own. Yeah. I was like, yeah. And in 6 months, the patient will come back with
muriatic
cancer.
acid in there. It'll probably dissolve the screw too, but I'm not sure that I would recommend that.
Like literally, I'm like, are you shitting me? You're telling me to put this stuff that we have to rinse off thoroughly before we put back in a patient's mouth onto the screw? 6 months, patient's going to come back growing an appendage from their forehead. Yeah. So anyhow, sorry, I digress. Welcome, Dr. Sisler.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we want to know your journey.
Yeah, we want to know your journey.
All right, so my journey, I went to school at West Virginia. I was born and raised there. Didn't really plan on leaving West Virginia, but jobs just kind of led me elsewhere. I moved to Pennsylvania shortly after that, worked in a group practice for a couple of years, realized I wanted something different, and ended up going to this tiny little farm town in the middle of central Pennsylvania called Shippensburg. And the practice that I took over for, kind of I resonate with you, JB, on the whole insurance thing, because it's an out-of-network office, and we've maintained that and trying to maintain that. But the fee schedules and stuff, it's a challenge. I mean, it is. There's no way around it. And when I took over the practice in 2013, it did more gold than it did porcelain. It did more amalgam than it did composite. So for me, coming in wanting to do functional aesthetic type stuff, it was a total mind shift and truly like a culture shift in the practice, to turn it into what it's been now, where we, do a lot of large, comprehensive functional cases. But I describe it really as my practice has kind of 2 sides. It has that functional aesthetic side with the implants and the complex rehabilitations, but it has the general side too. Like it's still got a general backbone to it, where we're doing single units and running to hygiene and still drill and fill in as well. So me personally, I like both sides of the practice, and I hope to keep it that way. I love doing cosmetics, and that's kind of what led me down my journey with the Dawson Academy, but also with the AACD as well. And so from there, kind of slowly got into some lecturing things. And now we have like the kind of the CE in the office. Like I said, I have 4 kids, so it's a little challenging now for me to travel and lecture and do as much as maybe what I used to do. So I just said, hey, let's see if people are willing to come to Shippensburg. And so we've been doing that now for the last few years. And we have like an over the shoulder course where people come into the office and watch us prep. We'll lecture for part of the day. We'll prep 10 units in the afternoon. Then the next day we'll lecture again for delivery and lab protocol stuff, and then deliver a second case of like 10 units. So that's been exciting. It's kind of a break in the pace of the regular general dentistry as well. And honestly, weirdly enough, we just kind of set the date for that coming up this fall. And it's my team who really pushes me more to do that. They love the fact of having other dentists come in and watch what we're doing. So the fact that I've been able to kind of take this team and cultivate it to be what it is, it makes me proud of that, and it makes me proud to see them kind of want to be so ingrained in the process. So that's kind of my story and where I'm at right now in a nutshell. I still feel like I'm trying to climb up the mountain. I don't feel like I'm on the other side yet, coming down or anything like that. So I hope that I'm still on the climb at least.
So it's still uphill both ways in the snow?
Pretty much. It feels like that some days. Yeah.
Yeah. So question regarding that, and this is more for our dental professionals that are in education and whatnot, is, and kudos to you for doing these courses. But the quick question that I have is, for these teaching courses, do you kind of like bank these patients? I know that sounds, that may be a weird question, but like, do you like find someone that may be ideal for this course and be like, hey, look, would you be willing to do this 6-9 months down the road and be a teaching case for my course, or do these patients, kind of come in on a daily basis? Sorry, dumb quote, maybe
Yeah,
dumb question,
no, it's not at all, because that was at our kind of staff meeting at the end of the day, that's what we started talking about, is we start saying, hey, let's get people and start talking to them about being a course patient. And if we have somebody that comes in and the case sets up really nice, we offer them a tremendous discount to have the work done. Say, hey, look, you just got to wait till October. And also you've got to be okay with 11 other dentists standing around you while you're working on you. And you've got to be a nice person. Like, I'm not going to deal with somebody who's going to be a pain. Yeah. All these people. So we've really, my whole goal with the course is, honestly, Chad, was I wanted this to be a win-win. Like, I wanted it to be a win for the dentists who are coming to like get the education, but I wanted it to be something that we got to change 2 patients' lives. And we've been able to do that to this point, and really provide some dentistry for people who otherwise couldn't have afforded the full treatment plan. And so that's kind of always been my goal with it. And with approaching it that way, I feel like the patients have just kind of come. And we've had people ask before, like, hey, I hear about this course, like, would I be a candidate for that? And we screen them pretty hard from the standpoint of, like, it still has to set up ideally and be an okay case. I can't get into anything too complex, like dealing with cold welded implants in the middle of prepping something.
Gaggers do not apply.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, they're not paying for it financially, but they're paying for it in stress, in time, and time away from their family, because they're probably coming in on off hours. They don't get to pick, I want the 7 a.m. on Wednesday. No, you get 2 p.m. on Friday and 2 p.m. the following Saturday, and you might be here on Sunday too. So that's it.
Zach, what are you doing for lab support? Do you have your own in-house lab, or do you have a lab that is kind of set up, ahead of time, waiting for the case? Obviously, walk us through that.
Yeah, that's a great question, because obviously there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to one of these. So the lab that I use, they do probably 98% of my work. They're Bayview Dental Lab in Chesapeake, Virginia. And so with them, I tell them ahead of time, like, hey, look, guys, I've got these 2 cases. We got to have the one prepped and ready, and then you're going to be getting the second one after I've prepped it at the course. They have been so gracious to help me out and to make sure they hit the timelines, and we're pre-booking a lot of that, so they know I'm not trying to just throw it to them last minute, and we're trying to give them plenty of time to make sure the patient's still getting the best case possible. They have been gracious enough to let my ceramist, who is a accredited lab technician within the AACD, also they let him do the case. They don't like restrict it to anybody else. So they haven't put any handcuffs on me at all. I mean, they've been really, really good. I feel like, in a way, as with most things, loyalty is rewarded. So when they do 98% of my work, like, they're willing to help me out when I've got like a special little pet project like this. So I'm incredibly thankful to them for be willing to help. And they're appreciative of it too, because they're getting some nice high quality photos afterwards to promote their product as well. So
I want to double click on two things. So if you guys will indulge me, I have two questions. The first is back in your intro with your journey, because we have a lot of young dentists that listen, or dentists that are looking to start their own practice. And there's lots of different journeys that we all take. And you took a challenging one of buying an existing practice and inheriting the gold and the amalgam, probably some staff, probably some patients that maybe you'd rather not have. Just, couple minute explanation for like the nitty gritty of how that really went. And if anybody's listening, you don't have to throw any of them under the bus, but basically, the pros and cons, the challenges that you experienced versus starting your own, that kind of thing.
Well, I can't attest to starting my own just because I didn't.
Right.
But I will say for me, I think the right fit was taking over for somebody. Because there was already a solid patient base there. It was just a matter of me. So I had like a full schedule already. So then it just gave me the opportunity to slowly talk to people, and kind of build a relationship of trust in order for them to start talking and thinking about the aesthetic stuff. So in the practice, it was funny because when I met the dentist for the first time that I was going to be taking over for, I told him my vision. Of course, I'm like a couple years out of school, so I am like on fire for dentistry. I'm on fire for my vision, all this stuff. And he looks at me and goes, "I don't do any of that here, so I guess you'll have to see if it works, but it's up to you." I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure it's going to work because I'm going to make sure it's going to work. But I always talk about, in my courses and different things, you have to find your Zora. And so what I did early on in my practice was I found that person who couldn't really afford the dentistry to have it done, but wanted it so desperately. And everybody's got a Zora in their practice. Like, if you say you don't, you're not looking hard enough. But Zora was this delightful woman who came in, and I started talking to her about it. And she was like, "Yeah, I can't afford that." I said, "Hey, I tell you what, you let me do the case. All I want is your photo at the end." And she graciously did it, and it just kind of exploded from there. So I feel like for the nitty gritty, like for somebody who's just getting into a practice and you're trying to figure it out, find that person in your corner and then be a total advocate for you. Now, in the midst of that, I'm still doing general dentistry on the side. I'm still doing all of the hygiene checks and everything too. And I'm slowly building up this rapport with people. But the word of mouth that I got from her was invaluable. Like, I can't put words to it. And she's still a patient in the practice today. I mean, she's kind of one of those forever patients now. Like, I won her over. She kind of stole the hearts of us. And so everybody's a win-win. So again, in taking over a practice like that nitty gritty, she was already there.
Yeah.
There was some low-lying fruit there for me to go ahead and pluck. And I'm still reaching through some of these apple trees to try and get to some of the other fruit that I haven't gotten to yet 13 years later. But there was a lot there already compared to me maybe starting my own, where I maybe wouldn't have that patient flow. Maybe it wouldn't have went as fast for me. So I'm thankful for the way it went.
So in that process, you're buying your practice, you are slowly making these conversions simultaneously, which I think our journeys are somewhat similar in that vein. There's this desperate hunger to be better, desperate hunger for education and pursuit. Now let's look on the other side of the curtain. What was going on for you at that time? What types of educations were you pursuing? What caught your hair on fire?
What hair? What do you mean?
Well, clearly it caught on fire.
It did, right?
That was just cruel. That was just
So-
cruel.
She's
He
rude like
kind
that.
of opened the can.
Jeez,
He said
I
it,
did.
and then
I had it. I
Yeah.
had the hair back then. Don't get me wrong. I had the hair back then.
yeah. Then it caught on fire. We got it.
No, I was one of those people too coming out of dental school. Like I was already on fire for like education. Like I wanted to learn
Yeah.
more. So what I tell a lot of young dentists, and whether you're just getting started in your practice or whether you're just coming out of school, never regret investing in yourself. Like if I'm going to bet on something, I'm going to bet on me. Like there's no doubt about that. Because like if I'm going to take money and I'm going to put it towards CE and time away from my family and things like that, first I want it to be valuable, but I'm dang sure going to use it when I get back to make sure that investment turns out. So rather than me spending tons of money on advertising and other things trying to get patients in the door, I'd rather invest in me to have the skill set ready to treat the patients that are already in front of me. Now, I was lucky in dental school. I had a professor who said, hey, when you get out of here, I can just tell you need to go somewhere. You need to go to like Dawson or Pankey or Spear or something like that to get a comprehensive kind of continuum under your belt. And so I chose the Dawson Academy at that time. It transformed the way I practice. Never in a million years would I thought like Dr. Peter Dawson would have been a mentor of mine and we're sitting around having dinner and things like that. I just never thought that. But I told him, I was like, I'm on fire for this cosmetic stuff. Like I really want to learn. Okay, now I've learned the functional side of it and how to make it last, but how do I make it like to the nth degree beautiful?
But I
And,
love that you learned that first, because I think
yeah.
that is such a critical piece, and obviously it's what I rant about all the time. But I wish that before everybody was so worried about how to make it beautiful, they should consider what got patients the way they presented in the first place and figure out what you need to do to protect it so you're not in the same boat as the dentist that came before you.
What's your catchphrase?
Form follows
Don't
function.
be too quick to pick up the handpiece.
No, it's the other one.
What's the other one?
Treat
I don't
the
know.
cause, not the casualty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Treat the cause, not the casualty.
And I too.
I have
was
so many catchphrases, JB.
I know.
as I was sitting through some of that early stuff, that functional stuff, Jeff, that's what I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, I just love this. And so to me, it was kind of, I'm a big form follows function guy. So like, if I get the function dialed in, we say, if I can dial in the function, the aesthetics just effortlessly fall into place. And a lot of times too, when I was starting in my practice, I mean, it was very nuts and bolts type dentistry, but it was a lot of functional wear. I mean, like I've done many rehabs at an A35 shade. It's not really about the shade of it. It's about, hey, how, I have patients in central Pennsylvania. I say, hey, doc, look, I want steak over shade. So just make sure I can chew with it. And so for me, getting that aspect in it and talking to some people saying, hey, look, you've got all this wear and tear on your teeth. Here's where it's coming from. Here's how we approach to fix it. Are you okay if it looks better in the end too? And they're like, yeah, sure. I'm like, nobody's been upset by that. But that then transitioned into more people wanting to come in for the aesthetic side where they're wanting a brighter shade. They're wanting those sorts of things. But I tell people, I'm like, I don't have people coming into my practice with perfect teeth asking me to make them look more perfect. I come in with busted up functional train wrecks that I've got to fix and make sure they're going to last. Now, once I learned that functional stuff, though, that's when I was like, man, where do I go for the next? And I had another great mentor while I was at the Dawson Academy, Dr. Scott Finley, and he was really high up in the AACD.
Stud.
Yeah, right. And so I'm sitting there like, where do I go? And he said, you need to come to the AACD. I think that'd be a good path for you. I'm like, okay. So I just went. I didn't know anything about it. He told me to go there. So I'm like, all right, this is where I'm going. And another one of those
And if
things.
he'd have asked you to show up to an ass kicking, you'd have gone too,
Yeah.
because hey, this guy knows what he's talking about.
and his dentistry, you know, he puts it on the screen and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is beautiful. And so through the AACD, that's where I started. I went there for the first meeting and my mind was just kind of blown. Never forget it. First time I went to Toronto and went to the meeting and I saw all these top name speakers and they're showing all this stuff they do with composite and all the stuff they did with porcelain. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, holy cow, this like the uses of these materials is like endless. And so that's when I came back and just started really more experimenting with different stuff, doing a lot of rehab stuff in composite first, and then maybe transition into porcelain later. And then shortly after that, the whole kind of climbing the mountain mentality was, I really like doing this, but like what's next? You know, like what's the next mountain? Like I've been to the AACD a couple times. And then that's when I started down the accreditation path with them as well. And that, you know, got accredited back in 2020. So it's been a few years now. But that was when I went in thinking I was just chasing this little medal, you know, to put around my neck and say, oh, I'm accredited. And it wasn't until they put the medal around my neck to where it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, it was never about this medal. It was about all of the effort that I had to put in to get to this point. And it changed the way I saw things. It changed the way I looked at cases, not only from a functional standpoint, but now the aesthetic standpoint and what different materials I could use in my tool belt to make it work. Things that I wouldn't have early on, just didn't have the skill set with composites and different things. But then over time, as you work and work and work with it, you're like, okay, now I see this. Now I see how this works. Now I see how this lines up. I see how this polishes better. So that's really what kind of opened my eyes up more to the aesthetic side of things. So those have been the two most instrumental CE journeys, I guess, I've done since graduation.
I think all dentists, particularly if they're young or early in their career, that can't be overstated enough that you graduate as a safe beginner. It is the beginning of your journey of actually really learning the practice of dentistry, and that listening to folks like Zach and, you know, many others out there kind of hearing their paths and their journeys and which way they go, what missing pieces of the puzzle it started to kind of plug away at and kind of create fulfillment. And Zach, maybe I'm overstating it, but doesn't it keep you hungry? And like many of our colleagues are burning out. They're not happy. Take this Delta Dental story, if just for a small sample of why a lot of dentists wake up frustrated and annoyed with this job, because if it is just at that level, like it's not fulfilling anymore. There's a lot of compression again that's working against you that I feel like literally wakes up every day and says, I want to screw dentist for another go round. Let's go. And it's staff, it's insurance, it's all the stuff.
It's
all the things, but it's the education. It's also the teaching. I think that for a lot of us help reinvigorate and re-energize our passion for what we're doing. You'd like to say it's the patients, and yes, at the end of the day it is, but they come with all the stuff, you know? So it's, I don't know if you have that feeling, if you feel like this is continuing to keep you hungry, if it's upping your game constantly.
I think it's one of those things where once you've kind of pushed yourself to the limit, you realize the limit just moves. Like it just moves ahead of you. Like, oh, I've reached this pinnacle. And then you get to that pinnacle and you look and see the next thing. And you're like, okay. So to me, that I feel like I need that internal challenge to a degree to keep me firing. Now, does that mean I don't ever get tired and I don't ever get worn down at work? No. Patients will wear you out. Team will wear you out. Insurance will wear you out. But it's these other things that kind of give you that break from all of that, just like you said, that keep you kind of pushing forward in the right direction. So, and that's what honestly, that's what I kind of feel like the accreditation did for me, is when I went through it, I realized on the back end, it was the journey. And so I think once I realized or had more of a perspective on that, it was like, okay, well, now what else can I learn? Now what else can I push? You know, like how can I take this and translate it into even more? So it still made me hungry. But the other thing I also found that it made me do was early on, I think, in maybe coming straight out of school, a young dentist is like, I need just lots of information because you're like starving for information after coming out of dental school. Now I think it's refined my palate to want really quality type things. Like if I'm going to leave my practice, if I'm going to go lecture somewhere, if I'm going to go do anything like that, it's got to be like something worth my time doing, not just, oh, I'm just going to go try this for the weekend. No, time's too valuable now. So if I'm going to do this, what's it going to do to push me to the next level?
I think the other piece of that, though, too, Zach, is the community that you end up getting involved with when you pursue these quality educational opportunities. So, you know, for any time I ever had felt that little bit of burnout, it was because I wasn't doing enough education with my community, or not as involved as I should be in the AGD with the people that I've come to know there. Because every time I get around other dentists that have inspired me, it just makes me want to be that much better, and it reinvigorates me in practice. And I think it's almost scary with everybody trying to kind of learn stuff alone and in an isolated format, because we learn as much from the people around us as we do from the person on the podium. And every time we get next to somebody who struggles with something and shares that story, you know, not only does it legitimize everything that we're going through, but it also, you know, it also says, hey, I want to be around these people more because they're doing what I like doing. And, you know, together we're going to figure this out. So I think that's a huge point.
A great point to that is, and this is something I always try to impress on my kids right now, is you're the average of your 5 closest friends. So choose your friends wisely. And so for me, like when I showed up at the AACD, like I found my people. Like I found the people that I wanted to be around who were going to push me to be harder. Like you hang around 5 people who hate dentistry and are burnout and are like wanting to get out of dentistry. Like you're going to be the 6th. But like you find somebody who loves what they do and you're hanging out with them and they're kind of spurring you on, like they're going to push you to higher levels than what you thought was possible as well. And that's kind of what I felt. So I always say, choose your friends real carefully.
Yeah.
Because
so you're saying JB and I should get rid of Chad?
You know, it was pretty much stated.
First one of the year, JB.
No, I had one last week too.
Oh, did you?
All right. So I got a deep question here. You know, there's probably a misperception about the AACD in that you have to have this boutique practice with one op and all you do is cosmetics and your whole life is devoted to cosmetics. And you've already, one of the things I loved that you said in the beginning was that you talked about just doing real world, everyday general dentistry, you know, in addition to the cosmetic stuff that you do. Tell us a little bit about your practice, because I know you're very involved with the AACD, but your practice seems like it's got a very good mix of bread and butter dentistry and high-end restorative dentistry. So tell us, hygienist, assistants, front desk, what does your practice look like on a daily basis?
Okay. So for me, I work 4 days a week, Monday to Thursday, 7 to 3 every day, no lunch. We have a weekly staff meeting, one day a week, just to kind of make sure we're prepped and ready to go for the next week. We have 2 front desk out front, front desk associates who are kind of planning and coordinating everything from schedule, also to these courses that I do. And then I have 1.5 hygienists, so one full-time, one part-time.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to scale that second one up right now, and it's been a little bit of a challenge. I just had a hygienist retire after who'd been with our practice for like 35 years.
It's tough.
So
I get it, dude.
it was a tough field, but we found a great addition to kind of go into it. So that's been good. I have 2 assistants who work with me routine daily basis, and the one's been with me a year. I feel like you couldn't tell that she's been with me a year, because whether I'm sitting down to do 18 occlusal or inserting 3 through 14, she's like, okay, here we go. And so from that aspect, I feel like my practice is a little bit diverse. Assistants and things who come in, like you might have came from a general practice where you thought we were just doing one or two teeth at a time, and we're sitting down doing a lot. As far as like the breakdown of that, I find that if I'm doing 1 to 2 large comprehensive cases a month, that's enough for me. I want to maintain a certain quality of that as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want to necessarily do more just to do more for the sake of doing more, but then have the quality slip. So we're still trying to operate at a really high level from that standpoint. I just noticed when I get to do like 3 cases a month, it starts to put a lot of stress on a lot of people. So from a general side, it's probably, I would say 80% of what we do. 20% is probably the cosmetic side. So to your point, I think the AACD used to get that rap. But I think you find there's a lot more people out there probably with a practice like mine. And even with a lot of the people that I'm associating with, they still have a very heavily general dentistry side of the practice, where I'm walking in and it might just be a very general dentistry day, single unit crowns, fillings, checking hygiene, running around. Or I walk in on another day and it's maybe prepping a large case with a bunch of like little things after that. So yeah, kind of diverse in that way.
I would like to
Love it.
make a plug on that, Chad, because I think your question is incredibly valid. But the reality is most dentists do some amount of cosmetic work, whether or not it's cosmetic dentistry and these like big functional full mouth rehab cases, or a kid falls off his bike and breaks number 9 and you need to sort of make it look like number 9 again, and you have nothing to go from. And so we're, and also those are real Achilles heels in your practice. They can make or break you. If you do a great job for a kid and mom loves it and she's like, oh my God, I can't even tell. Like, because she's in the corner crying because she thinks the kid's life is ruined. Like, this is the worst thing that could have ever happened. They'll never be handsome or pretty again. Like, and you make it look normal again. You make it look like it used to look. Number 1, that's a Zora, right? Is that Zora? That she's going to sing your praises to everybody and anybody she knows. And 2, that's a great way to start honing in those skills. Where else would you want to learn about how to do those types of procedures than from experts who are doing not only those types of procedures, but lots of big procedures as well? I mean, you don't have to go to AACD to learn how to do full mouth rehabs. You can go to learn how to do amazing class 4 composites and be really proud of that and provide that service to your community. That's a value add to your practice for sure.
You can Google half of that.
Google it. The other thing I will tell you is that it can also be a real pain in the butt in your practice if you don't really understand how to do this in combination with function and other things. It's the classic number 8 incisal edge chip that you repair 32 times, and 31 of them you do it for free because you don't really ever have the discussion of how did we get to this point. And more advanced continuums like AACD and Dawson and some of these other programs are going to help you tie those 2 pieces of the puzzle together. And that is whether you're running this amazing cosmetic dental practice or a public health clinic in the middle of rural America, and you still have to be able to provide those types of services. And I think cosmetic dentistry has been kind of put in a bucket that it's this like elite service that nobody really gets to have access to unless you're of a certain skill set to provide it and wealth to receive it. And the reality is a lot of very average regular doctors are out there doing cosmetic dentistry every single day.
Yep.
You know, is there a place like, can they be a part of a community? Can they find a home within AACD that,
Yeah.
you know, kind of gives them a track? Because it's a little overwhelming to go to the big meeting, right? You're like,
well, and I would tag two things onto that. Like
okay.
I went, you're talking about class 4 composites. I went to the AACD one year, and every course I took was a class 4 composite.
It's so important.
I was sick of them by the end of it, but I had learned it. I had learned how to do it multiple different ways from multiple different lecturers who were world renowned on it. So the beauty of it was I found what system kind of worked in my hands, and I got to be efficient and profitable at that. So, but to the second point, to tag on what you were saying there, JB, it was that class 4, just like with any kind of aesthetic procedure, like what you're doing for the patient is just providing hope. Like you're just providing hope with this small little bit of composite resin that like, hey, this is okay. Like we got you. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Like we're going to make this work. You're going to walk out of here with a tooth. Like you're in good hands here. And whether you are in a cosmetic practice or whether you are in that public health clinic, like you have that ability to do it. Yeah. Within the AACD, like we never want to seem there as elitists. We never want to seem as like, oh, you can't do this unless you go through accreditation. Not at all. We welcome you to the meeting. It's one of the greatest places to get a vast array of type of CE, meaning like if you want to learn about porcelain, or you want to learn about composite, or you want to learn about different lab procedures and how that works, great. It's got a whole smattering of things. But as somebody was saying earlier, I think maybe Jeff, the online component now too is huge for a lot of younger dentists who maybe can't swing going to the meeting and paying the flight and paying the bill for the hotel. So the AACD's kind of provided 2 different tracks for that, even where as a general member, you can have access to all kinds of online content where they have recorded online lectures. Like I've done a few for them before. There's a what they call the Aesthetic Skills Studio, which is like really for a lot of general members. They have top-notch speakers, like all like world-renowned lecturers come in and doing like this monthly webinar type thing for them for a discounted rate. And you pay for that like in conjunction with your membership. So it's kind of one of those things where you could take advantage of that, or you might just take advantage of the online CE. And then we have it all the way up to another program called the Dojo, where it's geared towards accreditation. Like, hey, you know what? I think I'm ready to like kind of push myself and go to the next level. You could join the Dojo, and it's going to be very geared towards, hey, what does it take to get through that process? Let's coach you through that process. Let's mentor you through that process. Your CE is all focused around that. So they offer a lot of different tracks for kind of meet you where you're at. Not this, you have to come up to our level. No, it's not that at all. Let us help meet you where you are. You know, if you're a young doc, then I think maybe that online component is kind of what gets you in the door and gets you to know a little bit more and gets you some more experience. And then maybe if you're more of a seasoned doc and you're looking to challenge yourself, you're looking down the accreditation track, something along those lines. But again, I'm a big believer in it just because like it transformed the way I practice. So that,
Zach, if I'm Jeff, the young dentist, and you know I'm hearing this now or seeing this on YouTube, and I say, you know, I'd like to check out the AACD. This sounds really great to me. I'd like to go down this path, or at least explore this path. And I know there's there's your big annual meeting coming up in April. And is this something I can go to without being a member yet of the AACD? Or how do I get involved with this? Will there be content for me as a new dentist that I won't feel intimidated if I go? And what is there for me? And you know, talk about the meeting for just a minute, if you would, because I think this is an incredibly important point is that we all have to start somewhere, right?
You got to start somewhere. And I think that's one thing that AACD is trying to work hard on is, like I said, meeting people where they're at. Some people might find that the big meeting is overwhelming to them. There's too much offerings, those sorts of things. Whereas somebody else is like, I want to go meet people. I want to go hang out and find my people. Like, that's kind of your place. You know, I mean, like you show up, there's lots of camaraderie around that event. And there's also a lot of kind of like the meet and greet, social hours, different things to get to know people. There's going to be a wide array of courses there. You're going to have like Newton Fall teaching composites. You know, I used to teach a preparation course. I teach photography there. There's going to be, I mean, it's a vast array of courses. So I think there's a good smattering of everything for somebody who just wants to even go try it out. For the other person who's like, well, you know, the meeting itself is maybe too much, then okay, you know, maybe it's just a simple membership and starting going down the online where you can get all the online content like with your membership. That's great. For somebody who wants a little bit more, then you start looking at some of the study clubs and different things like that. Me personally, I'm a huge in-person kind of learner. So like I do better in person. But I know a lot of people and a lot of younger dentists who like the online content.
Yeah.
So
I always have to throw that community word out there because that means as much to me as the education does. And I think whether a lot of dentists know it or not, it will touch them as well. So we're actually running towards the end of our broadcast now. So give us, in a nutshell, give us some details about this meeting that's coming up.
We're all going to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'll be great to see you in Aventura. It's going to be a great meeting this year, just from the standpoint that it's a little bit of a smaller hotel. It's a little bit more intimate. It'll still be a nice, very, very nice experience at the JW Marriott at Turnberry. Basically, the meeting goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and full day lectures Thursday and Friday, and then the morning on Saturday. So for me, when I was a young dentist, the one thing I loved about it was if you needed to leave on Saturday, you could. But there's also a huge celebration of excellence on Saturday night, which is you get dressed up and go celebrate the people who just got accredited at the meeting as well. And that's where you start to, again, I mean, Jeff, you know, like finding a community, like don't be a hermit and go sit in your hotel room, go to the social hour, meet other people. You're going to find other dentists who are like you, who are like, man, I really want to get into this. Hey, you do too? Okay, great. Let's learn together. And then you two maybe end up going to courses together. There's going to be great lecturers from all over the world there. And again, there's a lot of hands-on, which a lot of young dentists truly want. They want the hands-on composite. They want the hands-on preparation lectures to learn how to prep teeth. And then there's also just the general lectures. I just want to sit back and learn from that standpoint. So the exhibitors and things that are there, great, because they're obviously geared towards aesthetics as well, helping you learn about the different products and materials and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, again, I can't speak highly enough of it just because it was huge to me in my career.
So where can everyone go for more information? And the dates of that, I believe, April 16th through the 18th. Is that right, Zach?
We've got the link, aacdconference.com. Chad posted the link in the comments.
That's great. The easiest thing is to go to the website because that gives you the breakdown of all the speakers, all the topics, all the workshops that are there. It'll also give you all the info as far as registration and cost and the hotel and everything.
And listening to this podcast gets you a dinky do.
So
you get a little bit of a discount.
And I can even remember that website. It's aacd.com. That's an easy one.
We're also offering a discount on the study clubs as well. So I think, you know, reach out to us if you want more information. We can get you connected to the right people, but they're really excited about offering this opportunity for new blood to come into the organization and get excited about comprehensive American Academy of Comprehensive Dentistry. I'm trying to plug it. Amanda kind of bought into it. She thought that was a pretty good idea. because the reality is there's so much function and other things that are happening within the aesthetic. It's really not just aesthetics, because we know that aesthetics alone just doesn't really survive. And so it's the whole thing. It's super complex.
The whole schmear.
The whole schmear. Hey
I
guys,
love it.
as we close it out for tonight, if you'll indulge me, I would love to just play this quick video the AACD sent. It's kind of a brief synopsis of all the opportunities. For those of you who are listening to us on audio, enjoy just the vibes. I don't know, because you can't see any of the other things. So. I got to be honest, if you were listening to the podcast in the car and that song came on, I bet you were like,
Yeah.
all right.
It's club music.
It's great music. Exactly. Exactly. Zach, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you,
Thank you
Zach.
guys so much for having me. I'm humbled.
It was really awesome. Guys, do you want to say goodbye?
I wanted to say goodbye. I thought there was no good night, kiss my ass, nothing. Like there was nothing. I thought you were just closing out and saying, you know,
I told him it was
there,
so dark.
I want to close with one thing that Zach said that I just think is so powerful. And I think that it closes on both a personal and a professional level. I haven't heard it in a while, but my dad taught it to me as well. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And with that being said, choose your professional relationships wisely and choose your personal relationships wisely. I see so many young dentists that have a really hard time making those professional connections. And just remember that statement, because dentistry can be really, really freaking lonely if you don't have at least 5 people that you can spend your time with. So I think that was a wonderful statement. I love that you said it. I love that you're talking to your kids about it. And thank you so much for being here.
Great to see you. Have a good one.
All right.
And we will
Good night,
see you in
guys.
April.
We'll see you in April, brother.
Can't wait.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.